Alex?
I can still hear you.
No, that's pretty funny. You know what the fuck I do? Hello and welcome to another episode of Versus on DreamHack Tonight. I am Alex Jebailey alongside with...
Kyle Konsmo this time. You remembered me. Thanks, Alex.
Anytime, buddy. Welcome. This is an exciting week. The next generation of consoles is coming out. We've got Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. And if you have a PC, it's always next gen. So, but I'm excited for this, man. How about you?
I couldn't give a shit because I got a PC. No, I'm always excited for new consoles. This is a great time of year. There's so much that comes along with this. It's around my birthday. New consoles, new games. Push us into the next 10 years worth of gaming. Bring it on.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, we're going to talk about today about, as you can see, which side I'm supporting, PlayStation. I'm a huge PlayStation guy, although as a real gamer, I buy every console as they release. And we're going to kind of compare the different things, the big selling points of these, maybe help you make a decision if you can find a console. We'll see how crazy this is with COVID. And a lot of these stores are saying, please don't show up night of and try to buy this console from us. Order online, which I think is great that these companies are coming out of the gate, letting us know that. So, but Kyle, tell us about what we're going to talk about today.
Well, you know, it is odd that you say that we're not having people line up outside of stores for consoles because it doesn't feel like a real console release without that. But besides that, if you don't know which console you're going to buy, we're kind of breaking down a couple of the different categories that you'd like to see these compared in. So like storage space and the boot and resume times, the controller, video support for how beautiful it can look on your TV, backward compatibility, and the price. So I hope you're ready for this.
Yeah, and so we're going to lead off actually and talk about storage capacity, right? This is always a big deal. A lot of us are either going digital or using a disc, but even if you insert a disc, you're going to have to download gigs and gigs of updates. I think it's exciting, you know, when you think about next gen after PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, how much farther can graphics go? And now a lot of these consoles are coming up with ways to make them more like PCs. And with PlayStation, their big selling point is way, way faster loading times with a built-in SSD drive that only has 825 gigs of space. And it is upgradable, but you got to do another NVMe. But I've read that it only has like 630 of playable space, like out of the gates. So we'll see how big these updates are. And we'll talk about more about how to do external storage. But yeah, that's the PlayStation side. What's Xbox looking like?
This is where I think Xbox has for sure got to win in this category of storage capacity, is because the Xbox Series X comes with 1 terabyte of an NVMe SSD. You just get a lot of room. And when you need to spend a good 150 gigs of that capacity on a Call of Duty, on some of these games that are just going to be massive, if you didn't get that disc model, you're going to be really hurting on some of these. So with that Series X, though, the 1 terabyte is going to be, I think, what is a new minimum that we see. And I think that really does bring the Xbox a win in this category of storage capacity.
Yeah, and then in terms of expansion, I like to have backwards compatibility, which we'll speak about, but it's already been said for both systems, which makes you happy. Currently, I have a 4 terabyte external regular USB hard drive for both consoles, Xbox One and PS4. They're saying you can instantly connect them into the PS5 and Xbox Series X. However, Xbox Series X will basically, I think, let you store Xbox Series X games on that as well. But the fact that right out of the gate, you can kind of keep your older games separate on that, I think is cool. However, PlayStation's internal drive will not play past games off of externals. So it gets a little bit confusing, but just know that you have options to add internal storage. Or with Xbox, tell us about that official SSD they're already releasing.
Yeah, so like unlike that NVMe slot that's available for the PlayStation 5, Xbox has a partnership with Seagate, and there's, in true Microsoft form, a proprietary expansion drive that you can pop into this thing. And what I've heard and reports have shown is that it works just like it's an internal drive, almost like your Xbox came with 2 terabytes worth of storage. This thing is expensive, though. You're going to pay a premium for any sort of storage nowadays, and then a premium on top of that because it's Xbox and Seagate working together. So it is a good expansion, but it is an expensive expansion. But like you said, both ways, you can take your old storage devices and play them on the Xbox and the PS5. So I think this one's a little bit more of a tie between the two of them. Honestly, they have expansion. You can use your old drives. I think this is solid, but maybe Xbox is a little bit weaker on this one because it is such an expensive proprietary part.
Right. I mean, Game Pass, you're going to need as much, size. But the thing is, I'm going to be honest with you. I own a million games. I'm sure you do too. Play one at a time. You don't need to have so many games that you're taking up all your hard drive space. But it would be nice to just have normal. And if I, as the consumer, could sacrifice faster load speeds to have a bigger hard drive, I'd be okay with that. But from what we're hearing, the loading times are going to be insane. But I have a question in terms of video support. Do you or anybody have an 8K TV yet?
Nope, not anyone other than like Linus Tech Tips. I think they're the only ones that I would follow that have an 8K TV or the budget to find one.
Yeah, well, they're actually I saw an 8K like Samsung QLED that they're calling it. It's only like 2,500.
Wow, that's coming down.
But it is cool that 8K hasn't really taken off, but we're already ready for those when it comes out. So I'm sure both games are going to look just as good. Being an Xbox One and PS4 guy, it's always been edged out a little bit by Xbox, but more people are prone to play, PS5 games because of the exclusives and stuff. So not many people get to appreciate how third-party titles do on that. But, both of them, 144 hertz is going to be the bigger play here for both consoles.
Yeah, I mean, 8K is great and all, and both of them supporting 8K is super cool. I love that. But we're seeing more and more of that need and desire to have an esport happen on a console level, or at least, high-end competitive gaming happen, where PC used to take the cake for that. But 144 hertz is something for consoles that we've needed for a long time. And sitting down in front of a gaming monitor, being able to play your console properly on that gaming monitor is going to be incredible. But then you think about what Sony's doing with their TVs and their technology and pushing the limit there. But what Microsoft is also partnering with Samsung more often these days to push their limits of what they're capable there too. So I've always been curious to see what the TV manufacturers are going to push as far as gaming goes, because gaming's always been an odd subsect of you don't get that 1440p out of a console because TVs just don't do that. But 144 hertz is also one of those categories. So are we going to see these TV manufacturers too keep up? I hope so. These consoles are pushing it all the way, but across the board, I think this is a tie because it's both 8K supported, 144 hertz. The picture is going to look beautiful on everything that we own today. But manufacturers got to catch up now, I think. So I think this is a for sure tie between Xbox and PlayStation.
I mean, I think times are kind of changing in the streaming world of like, when I get a new console, I want to put it up on the big screen, check it out. But a lot of people are streaming off of 24-inch, 27-inch, 144 hertz and all that. So having the option across the board, I think is going to be great. I think these consoles are going to look good on any TV you put it on. So but next, boot time, right? We don't really know other than what's been shown to us. But I watched a video, and I'm going to kind of be on your side. Xbox Series X had the Avengers game along with PS5 and PS4 Pro, and Xbox X killed it in terms of booting up the entire game into a training session, all, and they compared it. Kind of funny game. Shout out to you guys, Greg Miller, for doing that. But either way, things are going to get faster. When we want a game, we're sick of sitting down, downloading, and waiting 30 minutes with an update to do it. And this is kind of speed everything up with these new consoles.
Yeah, but those boot times of these consoles themselves too, like the load times for games are incredible. But the boot time is just astounding. 24 seconds. That keeps up with my computer's pace for boot, and I've got a beast of a computer. It's just a little bit slower than my PC is. So the PS5 at 24 seconds, the Xbox at 25 seconds. Those things are so comparable that they're running a lot of the same hardware, so you can see where that same process comes up. But the resume times are the ones that I really wanted to focus on for a second here, because I think that we've hit a certain point in these generations of consoles where we don't turn them off anymore. They're always on like standby mode, right? So there was this tweet that I saw that this guy was going through and booting up each console and timing it. The resume time on the Xbox is 4 seconds. That's like a 0 to 60 speed on a car for me right now. Of like, okay, we're pushing 2 seconds. Like, this is 4 seconds. What's the PS5 do?
I think 14 seconds is what you told me to say. No, either way. But I think the Xbox, again, man, I'm a PlayStation guy, but Xbox is making it a PC centric kind of console where it has like quick resume across 3 different games that I saw somebody do when he first got the console. So either way, those 10 seconds aren't going to make a big deal to somebody that's about to play a console game and sit down and relax on the couch, because we're already used to waiting forever. But in a mental state, like, will that make a difference to people? I don't think it's like a selling point for either console. It's just glad that, when you want a game, you want to get into it. But being able to save it and come back has been a huge thing, especially with the Nintendo Switch. They've kind of nailed that aspect of it. But having be able to do it with multiple games, I think is kind of a game changer. But again, focus on one game, beat that game, and then move on to the next.
I mean, sometimes you need your first-person shooter fix. You need a little bit of that adventure, and then you go play a game with the family. So, being able to switch between 3 titles on your Xbox, I think that really does seal away any sort of point towards Xbox for this one. But the resume times and any of those boot times, because you can just do all of it right there so fast.
And then when you quick resume into Call of Duty, it goes, you've been disconnected for the server for being gone away too long. Then you got to reboot and get back in anyways. So mute point, Mr. Kyle. The biggest one for me, I've had every PlayStation console. Did not own the original Xbox, but I got the 360, the one, and now the Series X coming. But backwards compatibility is a big deal. Justin Burnham, a guy who we no longer mention on this show because he's never wanting to be with us anymore. No, he'll be around. But he's like, when a new console comes out, just get rid of the old, move on, because there's going to be new content. A lot of people, especially with COVID, retro game buying is a thing now. Oh. You're seeing a lot of these like consoles, these custom consoles coming out saying, hey, play your Sega CD games, all that. But PlayStation 5, luckily, all the PS4 games will play at a faster resolution. So it feels, again, beefed up PC for these consoles, where I'm going to be able to, at launch day, load up and play all my PlayStation Plus games from PS4, like God of War and Persona 5. These really big exclusive titles in a faster frame rate. 60 frames per second is the future of what everybody wants and what people talk about now. So in terms of PS5, you can play all your PS4, PS3, everything before. Nope, not physically at least. But at least we have that, because I think PS4 had like 1,200 games or some insane number. Xbox, I think they're doing... just keep going backwards. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing better this time, I think, than they've done in the past, but it's still just the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One, so it's kind of what you'd expect to be able to keep up with the Sony. They did get that Xbox 360 generation in there for the last cycle, for the most part. It was one of those big deals that they weren't going to do it, and then they did it, so I'm glad that they're seeing the value of bringing back some of those classic games, because it is the heritage of these consoles, so the backward compatibility is a big deal. But the one thing that I've always hated about backward compatibility, no matter what, is that if you have the old accessories for some of these games, they aren't compatible on your current console generation, which sometimes kills the game completely for you. So accessories are going to be backward compatible on the Xbox, which I'm a real big fan of. And overall, they haven't changed a whole lot, which brings us to the controller.
Yeah, the PlayStation 5, I've been reading about it. I actually have one early. No, I don't have the console. Otherwise, I'd already be bragging about it. But they've added a built-in microphone. This lights up in the middle, haptic feedback. And I just think people are already talking about saying this is a great controller. Like, imagine kind of like the Switch had, where you can like kind of blow on the controller and do cool things. And I'm glad everything's USB-C now. That's the future wave of wires. But this controller seems to be the best. Now, backwards compatibility, this will work on PlayStation 3, but it won't work on PlayStation 4 with a wire. It's just the weirdest thing. But and you can play your PS4 games on PS5 with a PS4 controller, but not with this. Or you can't play PS5 games. It's so confusing, right? So you can't play PS5 games with a PS4 controller. Xbox, all they literally did was, I think the Xbox One's an amazing controller, is just added a button in the middle. I think it's the share button or something.
Yeah. The share button, and then they changed the D-pad. Like, they made it like the Pro or the Elite controllers, that D-pad design. And I don't think that anything else changed about that thing. So, like, Sony for sure gets the point in my book here. Okay, wait, there's one thing. There is a slight lag reduction through some software coding that they've done between your HDMI signal and your TV to your controller to your Xbox that reduces the latency somehow. I don't know what voodoo magic they're working there, but that is one of the selling points of the newer controller on the Xbox Series X. I think that's the only one, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of esports things have been turning into PC anyways, away from the consoles. But either way, these are beefier systems. But the PS5, the controller, like, I'm just glad there's no stupid Connect. There's no forcing you to use a camera or voice commands or anything like that. Like, when we buy a console, we just want to hold a controller in our hand and play the games. And I'm excited to see what they do with the controller. And I'm already hearing amazing things. We had an interview with the Pathless team about the haptic feedback on shooting. So I think that's going to be cool.
Catch that coming up.
Yeah. But pricing, this new generation, everyone was like, what's the price going to be? What's the price going to be? Like, well, COVID's going on, so we're all broke. But $4.99, more than fair price, I think, for what these can do. These are becoming our entertainment hubs now. Disney Plus, Netflix, right out of the gate on these consoles. When PS4, Xbox One came out, they slowly brought them out. But now they know how important they are to replace, people's entire entertainment setup from just a console. So they're both the same price. However, the Xbox One S will play at lower quality. Every Xbox Series S, $300 digital only. Yep. PS5, $400 digital only. But I'm a guy who likes discs. If I want to pop something in, I have it at least from past generations. So I'm not jumping into digital yet, but it's not that big a deal as it used to be anymore. Like everything's going digital, obviously.
Do you like big discs? Because I'm a laser disc kind of guy. That's the generation that I grew up a part of, was those laser discs. I like those big discs.
Got a Dragon's Lair mini laser disc thing from
that's incredible.
I'm excited to unbox that. But anyways,
I'm sorry, I got distracted there with your big discs. So the Xbox Series X being $500, the PlayStation 5 being $500. I mean, these are so subsidized. This is always how the game goes. The early generation of the console is always subsidized. With this thing's probably $1,000 box that they're selling us, so they can get us to buy their games and everything and be loyal to them for the next 10 years. But when you look at it's $500 for an 8K streaming device, potentially. If Netflix and your TV and all these things catch up, you've got an 8K device right there. Not even Apple TVs do that stuff yet. And those are $150 plus. So that's a steal of a deal when you just break down it's a media entertainment device for $500. It's got fast boot times, good load times, awesome content can be pushed to your TV, and it's got a whole gaming console built into it as well.
Yeah, which, I remember I used to read a story like 10 years ago, be like, people thought cable boxes would be the future of console gaming. And kind of Apple TV kind of does that. And it's kind of getting to that point. But I'm glad Xbox got rid of the HDMI in to kind of put your cable box through. And, so they're focused on the games. Last topic we'll talk about is like PlayStation Plus, giving you a bunch of content out of the gate, but it's nothing, in my opinion, long-term compared to Game Pass, which... Next generation, every new actual Xbox, first party title. There's not many compared to PlayStation's first party, but they're going to be included with Game Pass. So that's the subscription model, like a Netflix for gaming, I think is the future. It's going to change the game, and hopefully PlayStation becomes competitive. Nintendo always be Nintendo, doing their 6 quality games a year. That makes everyone happy. But overall, me personally, I think long-term PS5 is going to be about the games. Xbox, I think, is a great device to catch up on a lot of stuff. But right now, buying it on day one, I don't think is the right decision, because all you're getting it for is to play all your older games. There's no, Halo's been delayed. All the major players have been delayed. So I think PlayStation from the get-go will be the system everyone talks about.
I mean, I think you're right there, but in the long run, I think Xbox has got this in the bag just because of Game Pass, honestly. I think that's going to be the solidifying factor. It doesn't matter any of those things up above, the hertz, the resolutions, the load times, all that stuff. Game Pass is just going to be why the Xbox wins.
Yeah, it's software. But end of the day, it's amazing how far consoles have come since we started playing games, that they have everything you need. So, but that's it. Let us know in the comments below what system you plan to get. Obviously, if you're a true gamer, you're going to be happy with any system you get and just enjoy. But good luck getting one. I hope you secured one. If you did not, hopefully they're available. We'll see. Otherwise, go to eBay, pay twice the price, and be just as happy. But thank you guys so much. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and pay attention to the rest of our DreamHack content.
For sure. And thank you again to our sponsors, Simply Nuck, Blue Microphone, and Astro Gaming, for your continued support of our shows.
Go PlayStation.